That's perfect.
No. SpongeBob is not here.
Okay, so I guess we gotta do some kind of intro.
Did Tim send you any updates? Or stuff he said he was working on?
He did not, but I just checked my messages just in case, and yes, confirmed that he did not send us anything extra.
You hear that, Timmy?
Oh, I don't know if we're including this.
Well, that is because you guys didn't say for sure whether or not you were going to record that day. Hey everybody, Tim here. I am going to drop in a few announcements, mainly in terms of our American Gods coverage. At the time of recording this, we're probably 2 episodes in to season 2 of American Gods, and we have not done a Watchers on the Couch presents These American Gods yet. And the reason for that is American Gods Season 2 and the final season of Game of Thrones are going to intersect for 3 or 4 weeks. And it was just going to be too much of a hassle to get everybody together twice a week to record 2 episodes, and then also me having to edit and release those 2 episodes for that month span. So what we're going to do instead, since Watchers on the Couch was initially a Game of Thrones discussion podcast, we're going to put the priority on Game of Thrones. We're going to cover Game of Thrones first, and then we'll circle back around probably and do season 2 of American Gods, more of a binge style, as opposed to an episode-by-episode breakdown. We'll probably cover multiple American Gods episodes per episode of Watchers on the Couch, These American Gods. Just wanted to throw that out there, just so all of our listeners of the first season of These American Gods know what's happening. That's what's happening. Anyway, back to Watchers at the Movies.
Welcome to another Watchers on the Couch podcast. We are here to discuss the latest Marvel movie, Captain Marvel.
Marvel or Marvel?
That is a question I guess we should address during the show. We're here without the person who's usually on every Watchers on the Couch podcast. His name is Tim Pickerel.
Gone.
Patriarch.
But we hope to carry in his stead. R.I.P. Tim.
Yeah, we'll miss you.
Well, we have Venom filling in.
Of course, Venom can't seem to shut up. But
we need a feline in on this podcast since, we saw Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's a perfect thing for a cat to be here. But to be fair, a cat is always here on these shows with us when we record here. Let's say we're recording at Debby's house.
Mikasa Sukasa.
Yeah, I don't know. Did we ever name your house as a studio, an official studio name for your house?
It's got to be something Stephen King related, right?
If I ever said that on a show, like made it a studio name, I would try to name it something like The House of Atrocities, or some kind of Stephen King creepy thing. You can find all those in the archives, I guess, under the Castle Rock podcast. But let's everybody introduce ourselves, since we've been blabbing and telling nobody what our name is. Mm-hmm. My name is Chris Naes.
My name is Debbie Hodges.
And I'm Nick Beck.
And that, again, with silence, is Venom. He just joined us officially, probably for the duration of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Before we launch into the Captain Marvel discussion, I want to mention a movie I watched earlier tonight on Netflix. Oh, damn it, now I forgot what it is. I'm going to have to edit this out.
Don't edit it. Let it roll, man. Let it flow.
But I want to be sure of the movie that I'm talking about. I don't want to say...
New movie?
Yeah, it's a Netflix movie.
With Ben Affleck or whatever it is?
No,
with Ben Affleck, yeah.
Triple something.
Yeah.
Triple Frontier?
Triple Frontier, yeah.
That's
what it is. That looked really good.
You're welcome.
What?
I showed that to you.
Mm-hmm. And then I heard about it on the radio.
Whatever, I showed it to you first.
So...
You're welcome.
I watched this with my dad and my brother before I came over to meet with you guys. And I wanted to include it as a, like...
bonus feature?
Yeah, some kind of, like, recommendation segment.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This movie has a crazy popular cast right now. Like, all the actors involved are super well known, and they all happen to be in this movie together. It's very weird. I guess Netflix can just like shell out all kinds of money to everyone.
I think it was end of last year. They just talked about that they just took out another like $3 billion loan.
Wow.
And they are like $2 billion in debt already.
Okay, Netflix is?
Yeah, they're in a huge amount of debt, but they're not worried about it because they have that much revenue from. They will get that revenue.
Wait, debt or death? Because I think you said debt.
No. Well,
someone is going to kill them because they owe so much money. Fancy that we say that because the entire plot of that movie is
death.
Death. They are being chased and
By
people
predators?
are trying to kill them the entire time in this movie. But this crazy cast includes Charlie Hunnam. I probably should have said Ben Affleck first, but he's listed second on here for some reason.
Affleck?
He always seems like somebody that just hates acting. Like, he just hates being there. Like, he's the guy that, like, doesn't really want to be there.
So you're saying he's a dick?
I don't know.
I'm going to agree. He looks like that.
Like he's checked out.
He looks like that even in this movie. So, yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Just doing it for the paycheck.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what it's come to, you know? Like, he tried Batman, and he got shit for that. And now he's just like, I don't fucking care. Oh.
Yeah, no, Batfleck is in a weird spot right now. He was pretty good at this movie, I gotta say. I'll give him a thumbs up for this role. But the other people in this movie are Pedro Pascal, who's like on a roll lately.
What is he? Or who is he?
He plays a character on Game of Thrones that escapes me. I know people are gonna write emails. Please don't. He's also going to star in the Boba Fett Amazon series.
Sure. Okay.
And he has been in a bunch of Narcos kind of shows on Netflix.
Gotcha.
So he's kind of like the running actor through all the Narcos stories.
Okay.
But anyway, he's great on that. Oscar Isaac, who's been in the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
And all of these actors are no name after that. So, no sense of mentioning them. But I will say, this movie was definitely a fun watch. One of those crazy famous actors may or may not pass away in this film. R.I.P.
And to kind of go back to Netflix's debt, as of September 30th, 2018, they are in debt $8.34 billion. $8.34 billion.
And they also just lost all of the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, Disney.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for Disney streaming.
So would you replace that with...
No, I'm not going to fucking cancel Netflix.
I was going to say,
just
like...
add on.
Yeah.
Add on.
But do you think it would be worthy of doing that at any point?
No.
So,
canceling Netflix?
Canceling Netflix for Disney?
No.
No, because, I mean, Netflix has got a wide variety of documentaries.
Where am I going to get all my death? Like, that's not the parents. I don't, like...
I'm thinking Disney is going to have some kind of adult section away from all of the...
You think?
Yeah, because there's a lot of Disney movies that are Disney produced, but don't say that they're Disney.
Yeah.
That are pretty adult.
And doesn't Disney own the rights to, like, MGM movies and, like, all kinds of stuff?
You're probably right, yeah.
There's a whole shitload of movies they take off of Netflix whenever Disney goes away.
Right.
That's true.
Hence the billions of dollars
right,
that they are in debt now.
Also, too, another really good one that I'm really interested in is the DC online streaming service. Yeah. It's got all digital comics on it.
Yeah.
And then, like, every, obviously, DC movie, not that any of them are really great, but what's really interesting to me is all the animated movies are on there.
Well,
that would be totally worth whatever it is, $70 a year for it.
And animated series.
Yes.
You know, Batman the animated series is on there.
Hell yeah.
I gotta disagree though with the movie comment. Like, I actually really liked Wonder Woman.
No, that was great.
And I really liked Aquaman.
Oh,
that was great. They're turning around.
They're on a roll. You gotta give them that,
But then you've got, like, Suicide Squad.
Yeah, no.
But James Gunn is doing that.
They're
so
rebooting
it may be good.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, which I never saw for whatever reason.
Don't even worry about it.
Which, speaking of James Gunn, how excited are you that he's back in Guardians?
Tie-in.
Yeah, they just announced that yesterday as of this recording. I'm pretty excited about it because he should have never lost in the first place if you ask me. That's not me taking any political position necessarily, but I think it's kind of ridiculous that he ever lost the job.
It was years ago before they hired him for it. Mm-hmm. So if that was an issue then, they should have looked into it and done the research on him. Not made a snap decision for something that he did many years ago and apologized for.
I kind of feel like it was like his parents are like, "How dare you go sit in the corner?"
Yeah.
And then in 5 minutes you're out playing again.
Well, also you had the actors coming to his defense saying if they could walk out, they would.
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard or read somewhere that was actually like a hit job by extreme sort of radical conservatives.
Oh yeah, they went after him.
So it was like a setup.
Yeah, they went after him. They dug deep for that.
That's at least there's widespread rumors of that, if nothing else, not confirmed or denied by this podcast necessarily.
Right, it is the truth.
Yeah, we're making up facts here. Before we get any further, I feel like we should just dive into the movie because we've already been discussing.
Yeah, let's do it. Captain. Okay, so we're gonna say officially that because of the way it's spelled on the title, it's Captain Marvel. The character in the movie that eventually she replaces is Captain Marvel.
Okay, so kind of give your base of knowledge behind this movie going in. Did you watch the trailer? Did either of you?
I did watch the trailer. I do watch them all. Yeah, I try to get as much information as possible going into it, so I kind of know a little bit about it. Not to ruin it, but to give a little bit. I was super excited about that the Skrulls are going to be it. This is the first time we've seen the Skrulls. It's a big tie-in to the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos and all that. And is she going to be the one that's going to stop him or turn back time or whatever it's going to be? Like I was pretty excited going into seeing this movie how they're going to tie everything in.
Yeah.
Not to mention a young Nick Fury / Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Debby, they did an amazing job on de-aging.
So do you guys watch like one time or do you watch it multiple times, like before you go see it, right before you go see it, do you watch the trailer again?
No, I wouldn't say that, but anytime a new trailer comes out, I'll watch it 2 or 3 times and try to pick up on any details.
So that's sort of closer to what I do, is like I watch it once or twice, then never watch it so I could try to forget before I go in and just be surprised by everything that's happening. Like I'm more of a, I would say, passive moviegoer. Like, I'm not as fanatic, I feel like, about Marvel as everybody else is. But when I do go and I'm surprised by stuff, I really enjoy it.
Well, another thing, too, with the trailers that Marvel's really, I don't know whether you want to say good or bad, is they're going to show you something on the trailer and it will not be in the movie.
Right.
The prime
or it's taken out of context.
Right. A prime example of that is when in Infinity War, Hulk was running in the forest in Wakanda, and Hulk was nowhere to be seen in that. It was the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
So they swapped that to give you a false sense that he's going to be in the movie, because that was kind of a big thing with that, is that he wasn't in the movie.
They just did that again with Avengers Endgame, because the trailers that we had been seeing, they took characters out of them walking, or it's a completely different scene and they walk again for whatever reason.
Right.
Because you didn't see Tony Stark in there at first, or Nebula. And with the new trailers now you do. Like, now they're saying they made it back to Earth at some point.
And I should mention, I have yet to watch the latest Avengers trailer. So you guys have more details on that than I do. I can't comment on it, but I will say I am excited for whatever Marvel has coming down the pike, because they've really done a stellar job across the board, I feel like.
Absolutely.
There's very little mistakes are made in these movies as far as like...
Remind me of that, because I'm going to bring up a point about making mistakes and whether they actually did or not. So.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. Should we
let's legit get into this.
Yeah, totally. But do it Does this show always go all the way through the movie, or is it just sort of can we talk about random stuff?
I mean, we try to get as much as we can about the movie in. Obviously, we're going to have our side rants.
Oh, yeah, totally. I feel like getting off track is a thing that's good.
No, it totally is. Every Watchers on the Couch Movies edition, it's like, welcome to Watchers of the Couch, Captain Marvel, what else have we talked about yet? Infinity War. It's like all these titles that we have. So, absolutely, we can go on rants.
It usually gets cut out.
Yeah.
So let's at least acknowledge the very opening of the movie. What is the opening scene?
Okay. So first off, I saw the picture that Kevin Smith posted on Facebook or whatever.
That's a little bit more than the movie.
Crying. Right?
Yeah, his puffy eyes.
Crying.
But that's not the opening scene.
No.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is he was mentioning that. So then, when the movie came out and everybody could see it, I read about the Stan Lee things and how there were two things in there.
You're right.
And how the one was at the very beginning, and that was the first thing you were going to see. And I just want to say, because this is the very beginning, the Stan Lee tribute with the Marvel, having it be all of his pictures and all of his cameos.
R.I.P. Stan.
Got me all in the feels.
Yeah, they actually acknowledged it before the Spider-Man movie too, and they said like, "Thank you, Stan." But this is going a whole greater length to give him his amazing tribute.
It was just such a sweet moment.
Oh yeah, totally. I loved that title sequence a lot.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I legit don't exactly remember what the opening scene is beyond that. So, do you guys remember exactly what it is? What we opened to?
Oh, it's got to be her, Carol Danvers.
I thought we opened on. Oh shit! I thought she was doing some type of training.
Yeah. On I don't remember what planet.
Yeah, the planet where they're at.
It's got to be
She's fighting. It's Hala. Is that what it's called? Something like that.
Oh, it's
Hala.
Well, I thought she was just doing the training, and then she got into the weird dream thing.
Should have made more notes.
Look at us go.
Do you want to just start with my notes and we'll just go from there?
That's fine. Yeah.
Sure. She's doing a little training sequence with her friend, who it ends up not being her friend. Spoiler alert.
She's Kree. They're on the home planet of Kree.
Okay. Well, Hala's way off. I'm going to go down my notes, and they are not necessarily in order of movie, but I tried to as best as I could. If there's stuff you want to throw in, feel free to do so. Yeah. We don't even necessarily have to go in order. First general statement is I thought this movie is like an exercise in the perfect blending use of nostalgia into a movie.
Hell yeah.
Like, we get the 80s nostalgia all the time, and 80s movies are still very prevalent in our culture in general. But 90s, we don't get as much of. Like, hearkening back to the 90s.
But is that because we're to that point now where throwing back to the 90s gets all the adults like, oh, I remember those times. Whereas when we were kids and growing up, it was the 80s for, like our parents, like, oh, I remember those times.
Well, also in comics, that's a very bright spot in Marvel's history.
It is, you're right.
Like, you get the X-Men, Chris Claremont doing art. Was he a writer? I can't remember if he's an artist or a writer. I should know that, and I don't know that.
You're going to stump me on that. Well, I mean,
he did X-Men.
Sure.
And a bunch of Spider-Man and stuff like that. But anyway, we get this blockbuster sort of scene very shortly after the opening movie. She basically lands on our planet through the ceiling of a blockbuster, right?
Which they nailed that thing to a T. I mean, it literally looked like I stepped back into a blockbuster.
Yeah, they probably went to the last remaining blockbuster and just took pictures.
Yeah, right. Is that an Oregon? Oregon, right?
I think it is in Oregon. Okay. It's the last remaining. There was one in Alaska.
Yeah, that closed.
Yeah, there was two, and then now there's one.
Yep.
Anyway, I remember in a blockbuster looking exactly like that in the 90s.
And they had, it was really, I guess they got the rights to her, or some way, shape, or form, Disney owned the rights to a lot of the movies that were on the shelves, but they had some classic movies up there that you're like, oh my god, this is like literally stepping back into the 90s and going into Blockbuster.
So, also nostalgia is kind of a big thing in this movie because we actually skip around in the timeline a little bit. We go to the 70s, we go to the 80s, when we're in the 70s, they play hard. When we're in the 80s, they play... the entire soundtrack is actually female artists. I don't know if you noticed that.
Except for Nirvana.
Right. So in the 90s, we also get... I mean, it feels like a 90s movie you almost have to play.
Oh, wait,
right,
and not Pearl Jam, but there was another band, too.
Oh, she was wearing a Nine Inch Nails shirt.
Yeah.
No, I thought there was another...
Which is apparently...
Well, the soundtrack's amazing.
The soundtrack is great.
I don't like Hole. I'll actually get to a song choice that I thought was totally wrong. It's not that one.
Okay.
But I really felt like they just nailed placing you in that moment in time. You know what I mean? Whoever is running props at Marvel knows exactly what they're doing, you know, and sets and stuff like that. There's some really great interactions just outside of the blockbuster too when we first get Samuel L. Jackson as young Fury. 90s Samuel L. Jackson. I looked at him a little too closely. Like I feel like my attention still like I can't separate that they are animating them to look young. Like in my head for some reason. So I'm always looking at Sam Jackson's head in a weird way.
Right, like how?
When I should just be looking at Sam Jackson because that's just him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Also in that scene, another nostalgia thing that's not so nostalgia, but it really is because it's no longer in existence. Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Oh,
right next door to the
funny.
Blockbuster.
And yeah, in every small town, the Radio Shack was right next to the Blockbuster almost every time.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean that's great placement because if your VHS, you know,
oh yeah,
VCR goes out, you can go to Radio Shack, get it fixed, and then go next door and test it out.
Or you need an overpriced RC car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, too, a weird opinion side note here, and if anybody knows, let us know. Do they have to pay rights to defunct companies to use their brand? Like Radio Shack, no longer in existence, right? So they have to reach out and say, hey, we want to use your logo, your storefront, and pay somebody?
Somebody
that's just like, fuck them, they're out of business. Who do they care?
If you want to Google it, feel free.
I would imagine somebody still probably owns the rights to the name and the logo.
Sure, I guess so. Copyrighted.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible.
I mean,
somebody is
things that are copyrighted for however long. And then and then it has to be re-upped again. So, I mean, somebody could still be paying for the copyright for it. That way, you know, that small chance it gets used.
Yeah, right.
You're collecting the money.
If there's an old thing, a property, or signifying thing about a business that ever made money, somebody would still try to make money.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
So in the Blockbuster, she actually picks up The Right Stuff, which is an astronaut movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. I've never seen it. But I think they picked that one because it is a 2-tape box.
Okay.
So she picks it up and it's like a little bigger than normal.
Well, if The Right Stuff is an astronaut movie?
Yeah,
so it's a space movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's like an Easter egg.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it really because I had never seen the movie, but I just heard somebody talking about it.
Okay.
So relaying information more than actually knowing what I'm talking about. Back to Sam Jackson. I absolutely love him as Nick Fury.
Right.
I was super enthused about seeing him, you know, in a totally different way in Marvel movies. It's not anything sort of way he's played that before, you know?
It was before he got all hard and, you know, like...
And there's actually some sort of shout-outs to, like, Pulp Fiction in this movie where, like, he's drinking out of a cup at one moment. Gosh, I can't... It harkens to the scene in Pulp Fiction where Samuel L. Jackson's giving him the sermon before he shoots him. You know what I mean? In the apartment. But anyway, I don't know about you guys, but Samuel L. Jackson pretty much is bats 1,000 in my head. You know what I mean? Like,
so
I don't not like any of his movies. I can't think of one off the top of my head. So
speaking of Sam
totally
Jackson,
right.
he is actually, they're doing a sequel to The Hitman's Bodyguard
with
Ryan Reynolds, but it's going to be called The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Because apparently he's going to be protecting Salma Hayek this time in the movie. And now they've gotten also Morgan Freeman.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, that's what I read today.
I think The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is a mouthful, and that is not a good movie title. I gotta say that. Right.
Regardless, I'm excited, because those two together were great.
I never saw the original.
Oh my God,
you need to see it. It's good. It's good.
I like Ryan Reynolds, so...
Right. Well, it's Deadpool and Sam Jackson.
Nick Fury.
Yeah, Nick Fury. If you want to just always look at him as Nick Fury,
I'm gonna say Sam Jackson.
I only see him as Deadpool now, so it's always that's why Deadpool Pikachu will be fun too.
Right.
I really liked the Game Boy paired with the payphone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's pretty much what she bought at Radio Shack.
Which did they ever sell Nintendo products?
I don't think they did. I don't think they did either. They may have sold cases. Like off-brand cases for like Disney Game Boys.
Nintendo?
Hold on though, couldn't you rent game systems from Blockbuster?
Yes.
Maybe she got it from Blockbuster, bought some other parts there. Boom.
Certainly possible. Yeah.
But does Disney own Nintendo?
No.
Okay.
That's one of the. That's their white whale.
I mean, I'm just wondering because that would be why they would show it.
No.
I don't actually think it's their white whale, but I thought it was funny to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game. Another thing that brings me right back to the '90s is that big ass Game Boy. You know what I'm saying? It's actually the perfect size, but they sort of morphed that and lessened it and made bigger one, like all kinds of shit.
I thought it was really good too during that entire scene right there that nothing to her was out of place.
Right.
Because if we stepped on a foreign planet, we wouldn't know what's good or bad or old or new. And she played it off perfectly, like, okay, their technology sucks. I'll make do with what I got.
Yeah, right.
Do you think we really need to...
And walking up to the security guard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we really need to explain to people what the story is even in this podcast? Or can we just talk about
we
random
skipped
moments?
The whole, first
we skipped a lot,
movie,
yeah.
Where...
I don't want to go through the whole... I don't think that's the thing people necessarily want to listen to.
Let me say this, is that... to kind of sum up this movie, as far as the plot's concerned, it is through and through an origin story.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot escape that. And that's kind of one of my big complaints about this movie. Even though we don't know anything about her and we need this origin story, I'm just tired of origin stories.
Well, the problem
but you gotta do that to lay the groundwork.
I know. But to me, this entire movie was story, action, done.
Yeah, see that I was just gonna say that's what the problem is though with the formula is that when you're building up a character and you're spending your precious minutes of this movie with non-action going on, explaining more about the story and actually you aren't able to connect with the character then because it's leaving something to be desired. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. It's just I'm kind of burnt out on origin stories.
If it's too much up front, then you don't care about them because you don't know anything about them.
But if they impress you with super badass action sequences, that also can win you over them.
Why? How are you doing this? How did this happen? Where did this come from?
Right. Yeah, so you spend a lot of time doing that too. Yeah.
Right.
So those are definitely some not great things about the way they told this one in specific.
It's a necessary evil.
I didn't think it was bad.
I certainly would place this movie above at least 3 or 4 of the Marvel movies they put out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
100%.
Off the top of my head,
Iron Man 3.
I liked it better than the second Thor.
Dark World?
Yeah, I liked it better than that one.
I liked Dark World. I mean, it was kind of it was okay, but I like Thor, so.
So we're just saying this movie is necessarily not at the bottom of the barrel.
No, it's
nor
not.
the top.
Nor the top, right. It's somewhere right in the middle.
Yeah. It's a solid movie, we'll say that.
It's like a Neapolitan ice cream sandwich. Really. So we're going to skip some more probably, but next thing I put in my notes is the Nine Inch Nails shirt.
Hold on.
Another example of nostalgia.
We kind of forgot to introduce the main
plot of the movie.
Yeah, well, one of the main characters is the Skrull race. They are shapeshifters. This is one part in the movie that I really, really did not like and disagreed with because they completely changed the story of the Skrulls, or at least from what I've read. And the Skrulls have always been kind of how they played him out to be in the movie. In the beginning, these almost like a parasite. They come to your planet, they take over, they infiltrate you, they kill, take your technology, and move on. And that's what they are in the comic books. But then we find out later on that's not necessarily the case in this movie.
Well, I mean, that might not be the case in this movie for this particular group. Because
any Skrull in the comic books, to my knowledge, which I'm probably going to be wrong here, has always been a big bad or an evil.
Well, maybe this guy's just very family oriented. And he found like-minded individuals.
So, anyways, Skrulls, Captain Marvel has come to Earth, hit Blockbuster. Skrulls are following her because, she has information.
Skipped all this. Jude Law is her mentor, and we think he's the good guy, and he's helping her train and trying to get her to use her powers. Well, to not even use her powers, to be able to fight without the powers.
Mm-hmm. Which we don't know how she got her powers yet.
No, and they go on a mission to the Skrulls. And they realized that it was an ambush, and all they really wanted was her. And then she was able to escape. But before that, they, zapped into her memories. And so now she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And that's when she lands in Blockbuster.
Yes, because she took an escape pod off their ship.
Yes. And now she's being chased by the Skrulls. And that's where she meets where she meets Fury. And Coulson.
So, when we're on the chase after Blockbuster, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie, actually.
Okay.
Like on the train.
Yes, we're going between the train and Coulson and Fury in the awesome, early I guess it technically takes place in 1995.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And Coulson looked so young.
But those cop cars were so specific.
Yeah.
Crown Vics.
And, they are just the most iconic police cars in any action movie back then.
Yeah.
It really was one of the best things for me. I grew up watching chase scenes with those cars in almost every single one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's the perfect choice.
This is also the first time we feel that Nick Fury's going to lose his eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But doesn't.
Yeah, we were waiting for it to happen the whole movie.
Yeah, that becomes a running thing.
Yep.
They tease it early, and it's is this when he loses it? No.
Because it looked fucked up, man. Real bad. All red and bloodshot and swollen. And I'm it's just going to pop out, and that's it.
So in this chase, there's actually these, cop movie music stabs, too.
Oh, really? I picked up on that.
Soundtrack music for police chases and stuff is a specific thing, and I feel like they just did that with the symphony, choice strings and stuff like that to heighten up moments, that kind of
like
of thing.
The speed theme.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
It just reminded me of that enough to write that in my notes.
Sure.
That's where we get the Mallrats Stan Lee thing where he's reading the script.
And he's going over his lines.
Yeah.
So apparently they filmed this in a few months before he passed.
Oh, wow.
And he was feeling particularly weak that day, so Kevin Feige actually asked him if he had B-roll of Stan Lee filming Mallrats.
Oh, okay.
So, the lines he's saying, they pulled those from archives that I guess Universal had.
Okay.
Or whoever owns Mallrats. I think it's Universal.
I think it's Miramax, but...
Maybe it's Miramax. Yeah, well, maybe Miramax is owned by Universal now.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore for reasons we won't get into here. So I think they used some B-roll, and that's pretty sweet that they were able to go and piece together something. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that Stan Lee actually wasn't in the movie?
No, he was in it. They filmed him for this movie, for Marvel.
Okay.
But his audio, when he was speaking, he was weak.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
The recordings weren't all that great.
Gotcha.
So they just pulled the audio from...
Yeah, and since his face is in the script, they can do that.
Right.
And the reason why he does that particular thing is because he said that was his favorite cameo he ever did in all of the movies.
That's amazing that he said that.
Also, too, that... sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's just, the sweetest thing. And I can't imagine Kevin Smith seeing that.
One of the things I did notice, and this movie particularly pointed it out, that anytime somebody makes contact, generally, with Stan Lee in a Marvel movie, they almost give him a nod of they know who he is. Because when Carol looks over at him and he looks up, she kind of like gives a little smirk and then just walks away like, oh, hey, nice to see you here.
Right.
You know, so it's almost like, and that goes back to that he's a, what the hell's her name? Watcher. Right? Am I saying that right? I can't remember. Anyways, regardless. He's a celestial being.
Stan Lee is a watcher over the universe.
Yes.
Yeah, in the other movies, he did that.
Right.
That's
so
what I thought.
It's almost like people know who he is without knowing who he is.
Right.
You know.
They got special.
It's very interesting what they've chosen to do with Stan Lee's sort of legacy in these movies. Like, he has played a bunch of different just funny parts, and then now they do this like super sweet, obviously directed at Kevin Smith, like by the filmmaker, like thank you, and also a thank you from Stan Lee himself in a way. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, that was his first cameo, right? In a movie?
I think so.
I mean, he started it.
Well, I mean, unless you consider the original, not the Fox cartoon, but there was an original X-Men cartoon called Pride of the X-Men, and he did the original intro. But that's not, that's not a cameo per se.
Not a visual one.
Right.
Do you guys want to go to the next scene, or do you want me to just list my next note?
This is where she punches the old lady in the train too, and they get into a fight.
Oh yeah, during the chase.
Because the scroll takes the image of the sweet looking old lady, and she's not buying it.
Well, and what's great is we're with the passengers in that scene, and we're like, this does look ridiculous right now.
Just fighting an old lady.
People on the train are like, what the hell is going on?
And they're trying to stop her, for a little bit, and then she's just like, bitch, please.
So that was good.
Yeah, I loved it. That whole chase scene was a really bright moment of this movie for me. And like I mentioned, the soundtrack, like, the combination between we get rock and roll songs during sort of transitional moments and montages and stuff like that. Yep. Songs we normally wouldn't hear in other movies.
Right.
And then they also mix the symphony in with that, and there's actually some synth stuff too. Like synthesizer, say that 5 times fast. Stuff in this movie that really like punctuates space moments and stuff too. Like when they're out doing their thing in the
it's very Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
They're so, the soundtracks of these movies are so, like, unreal sometimes.
Right. Huge budget for the soundtracks.
Yeah.
When do we meet Goose?
So that's when they leave. So she meets up with Fury again, and then they go to that underground storage area.
But we've seen Goose before this. In her memories. Because
Goose is, what's-her-face's cat.
Right.
Which is the original Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And in the comics, it's Chewie, and in this one, it's Goose for Top Gun.
For Top Gun.
Interesting.
Right. So, yeah, we are officially introduced when they go to...
the storage unit.
Yeah. The airfield or airbase or whatever it is. Yeah, underground storage.
They're looking for records or whatever. Anything to... Because she's trying to figure out why this lady's important.
Yeah, and then soon after that, she like sees that person she's looking for in the planet's computer is like using it as a way to communicate with her, right? Like the all being or whatever. I don't remember specific terms on the planet. It like represents the leader of the planet.
Yeah, everybody sees somebody different, and that's who she sees. But she didn't know who that lady was until they got there and they found photos of her.
Yeah, it shows you.
And she saw she was in the photos with her. Yeah. She was like, I knew her.
Yeah, the character shows you who you most admire, I think is what it is.
Or
respect.
Yeah.
So the computer, obviously it's a computer program, and you're interfacing with that computer. But to give, that particular... computer a face so you can communicate with it, it shows you that person.
Yeah, it pulls from your
memories.
So, we obviously Sam Jackson you get the sense early on he's going to be like paired with this cat because he's really nice to it.
Which, side note, she was severely allergic and he tolerated the cat, but he said as long as you gave him treats, he was good. Apparently, Goose was so well behaved. That's why they had to have multiple cats. Goose was too well behaved, so they had to have other cats come in that acted more like cats.
Kind of like this one.
Yeah, because they wanted to have those weird, like just the things that cats do. Like all of a sudden licks its paw or does whatever. And the cat that was playing Goose, most of the time, was just so well behaved that he didn't do that stuff.
Yeah, he would just sit there.
Yeah.
And not do anything.
And not move.
Be nice, look around a little bit.
Yeah, and they wanted a cat to
curl up on your legs or whatever.
Yeah, they wanted the cat to cat. So
some cats are very in tune with their trainer that way. They adapt 100%, and that cat knows it's supposed to just sit there.
Right.
It's been moved around and gave enough treats that it's like, okay, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do.
I don't move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
When do we first learn, or who first calls the cat a flurkin? Is it one of the head scroll?
Yeah, it was when
that plays Coulson.
Yeah.
Was it?
Or no, was it was when Talos? It was Talos when they get back to the house.
That's right, Talos.
Yeah.
We actually were discussing Talos before. That was one of the only things Nick looked up before we started.
So, and I'm just gonna throw it out there because it's a fun fact. So when they go to that underground base, one of the scrolls impersonates Nick Fury's boss.
Right, and they're there because Nick Fury tells them that they're there.
Right. But what I didn't know is that Nick Fury's boss is the actor, or we can say character actor, who is playing Talos. So instead of, two people, they used Talos as Nick Fury's boss, the actor who played Talos as his boss.
It's the same guy.
Same guy. So when Talos is mimicking Nick Fury's boss, it's just him without makeup. And I thought that was actually really cool.
It was really cool. It was really cool the 10 minutes after I finally realized what the hell you were trying to tell me.
We did have a slight argument, or, I don't know, miscommunication.
It was me saying, I'm not understanding why this should be important to me.
Right. It doesn't have to be important to you. Fun fact in Nick's mind.
I was like, I don't understand why it's a fun fact. But then I got it, and it was an aha light bulb moment.
Well, and also fun is in the
eye of the beholder.
Yeah, it's definitely like, well, I guess it's fun if you think it's fun,
right?
Of course it's that guy playing that guy. Who else would be playing that guy? Scrolls aren't real.
Did you think that Goose was gonna turn out to be more than what he seemed to be after he said Flurkin? Did you think it was gonna be what it was?
I knew Alien. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And have you seen the Funko Pops?
I haven't seen the Funko Pops of Goose.
Oh my god,
Great.
they're the cutest things in the world.
There's three different versions. Are they part alien or are they just a cat?
There's one that's just a cat.
So to kind of visually describe this, is a Flurkin is a very rare beast or monster or whatever you want to call it in the universe.
Alien creature.
They're traded quite frequently on the intergalactic black market for extremely high amounts of money. But they are a cat that has these long ass tentacles, almost like a octopus with 12 legs or whatever.
That's one.
12 arms. And it comes out of its mouth and can eat pretty much anything because it can form pocket dimensions in its stomach. So it can hold objects, even though it's a cat size, it can hold objects infinitely large because it creates dimensions in its own stomach.
Is it in the books at all?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
And here's one with just a little bit out.
Wow. I love those. Definitely look up those Funko Pops. Send me pictures of those so I can post that.
And it's exactly the same way in the comic books, is that he's a very mild-mannered cat, and Carol Danvers has him for a long time. He actually, the character in the comic books, goes absolutely ballistic and actually takes it easy on Carol, and we just assume because Carol's taken care of the Flurkin for so long that he showed her pity, I guess, if you will. So yeah, he's exactly the same way, tentacles and all.
That's insane. I really thought the Flurkin thing was another great part of this movie.
Oh
that made it totally unique among other Marvel movies.
Right. Which, kind of a side note, I think the first person to actually recognize that Chewie, actually named after Chewbacca, in the comic books is Rocket. Rocket says, "Oh my God, you have a Flurkin in here." And if Debbie pointed out, unless we're wrong, that the Collector in First Guardians has a Flurkin in one of his little clear cases.
He has a cat. I swear to God, I remember seeing a tabby cat.
And the Collector is, he's a black market trader is what he is.
Right.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you want a Flurkin?
Right.
So
we may have seen
somebody
Goose
fact check that.
in a previous movie.
Right.
Wow.
Possibly.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share this with you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if the mic would pick that up. It might.
It might.
It was a long one.
They get out of the airbase. She
flies with a steel plane and she flies away.
Yep.
They
fly.
And he's like, "Do you know how to fly this thing?" And she's like, "I think so." And then all of a sudden, Goose appears on the plane.
Mm-hmm. And is one of the Skrull with them at this point?
So here's hold on. I'm gonna pause here a second. It's a little conspiracy theory that is going around the interwebs. Is that at some point during this movie, there's a possibility that Fury is a Skrull. Mm. There was 4 Skrulls that come out of the ocean scene. Mm-hmm. We only see 3 of them. Perish or die. Okay, or the main character Talos.
Oh, that's interesting. So here's the other Skrull is not accounted for anywhere?
No. You can hear that, I'm sure. Here's the little... Somebody picked this fact up, and I'm not taking credit for this, okay? So, one of the things you do for Skrulls to be able to identify whether you are a Skrull or not is you ask intimate details. Something that a Skrull couldn't make up or figure out. And when Carol is testing Nick Fury in the diner, she says, "Give me a weird fact that a Skrull would never know." And he says, "I cannot eat sandwiches that are cut diagonally." So fast forward to, I think it was the first Avengers. No, it was Ultron, Age of Ultron. Nick Fury shows up. Nick Fury shows up at Hawkeye's ranch. He's eating a sandwich that is cut diagonally. Mm. So either that is
wow, that's very obscure.
So either this was an oversight over 21 movies, give him credit, or this was a well planned out Easter egg that eventually, somehow, some way, Fury becomes a Skrull in this movie or in a future timeline, and the Fury that we know currently is a Skrull. Way out there, I'll give you that.
Wow.
But it's a possibility.
And also the fact that some nerd wrote up that whole thing about him with the sandwiches. Mm-hmm. So, I understand, Nick Fury being in there eating that sandwich would be a thing that you would think about maybe if you knew these movies inside and out.
Yeah.
Right. I don't, and I didn't remember that scene before you brought it up. I certainly didn't remember if the fucking sandwich was cut diagonally or not. You know? But, that's interesting. If they chose to do that, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's awesome.
Well, that's such an obscure fact to throw out there.
But I'm telling you, though,
they would show a flashback of him eating it or something, to remind people.
Right. But, that's not necessarily true. Marvel, I read this the other day, and I researched it, and it's all legitimately true. Marvel has run the longest Easter egg that probably most people have not picked up on. Tony Stark's left arm. From the very first Iron Man up until this current movie that we're on, Stark always gets injured on his left arm. Oh. So what's going to happen, almost guaranteed, now this is my prediction, I have no evidence to prove this, Stark's going to end up using the Infinity Gauntlet and losing his left arm. Because it's already fucked up, so he says, why not? And you always see him in the movies, grasping, doing the whole arthritis type thing. He's rubbing his hand constantly because he's got so much damage to that arm over the years that it's, at this point, so they're running a almost 21 long movie Easter egg, potentially. Why wouldn't they go back and say, let's go back to Age of Ultron. We knew he's eating diagonal toast or whatever, a sandwich. Let's make that what he can't eat. And leave that as a...
Is he or isn't he?
Is he or isn't he?
See, from watching the trailers or something, I remember seeing Tony Stark, one of his arms practically is like biomech. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
It's his left arm. It's always his left arm.
Okay.
Always. Even when he's fighting and gets damage in his HUD display, heads up display, it's always showing his left arm is damaged.
Yeah.
Which ironically is what Thanos on his left hand is what Thanos wears his glove. So, anyways, rant.
Ooh, that's a deep dive.
Deep dive.
So somewhere in the movie, I wanted to mention this while we're doing this. They use mini holograms to communicate. Like, okay, so Nick, you'll have to tell me, who are those hooded guys with very pale skin? They're on a ship outside of Earth, and the Skrull, not the Skrull, but the other bad guys in this movie are communicating with these.
Are you talking about Ronan the Accuser?
Ronan, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
which I was so happy to see him back in.
They use these mini holograms to communicate with the Ronin at one point, and I love that the Star Wars stuff is like so standard in movies now. Like that is across the board the way that space people communicate with each other.
Yeah,
mini hologram.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's no other way. Like,
no,
it's set the standard. That's
and
it.
I believe in the future we'll have that device.
It's not that far off.
That's what I'm saying. It's practically achievable already.
Well,
they just have to find a way to make it cheaper.
They already
smaller.
do like hologram concert things. You know?
Oh yeah. And with those, though, it's actually like a stage setup. Like, they have sensors all the way around the stage. Like, even off to the sides, all the way up to the side. You know, like, if you're standing way off over to the side, that wall of stuff would actually block you from seeing the hologram.
Yeah,
so, sure. Technically a magic trick still, but not that far off. Anyway. I just love how Star Wars stuff and like even like John Williams-y sort of music, all that kind of stuff is so ingrained in these movies now. Mm-hmm. And being a Star Wars fan, I just like it.
Disney can do whatever they want. They own it now.
Yeah, right. And I think like people just like it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
you expect it. You
right.
would think that's how it would be. Otherwise, it's weird.
So when the Skrull gets to the house, let me phrase that. Carol and Fury go to Carol's best friend's house, and at this point, Carol's assumed dead because she just disappeared off the planet.
She doesn't know who these people are. She doesn't remember them.
The long story short, she was in an experimental plane crash. They tried to cover it up and just considered her KIA. Mm-hmm. So when she shows up, she's shocked. She tells her the whole story that she doesn't really know who she is, and then as they're kind of getting on their way and figuring out their mission, boom, one of the Skrulls pops up. Yeah. And drops and,
No, two of them pop up.
Two of them pop up.
Because the one's outside holding the girl.
Yep. And kind of drops a bombshell that they're not the bad guys. And all they're looking for is a place to live peacefully.
Wouldn't that be the two Skrulls then accounted for?
That's still only three. Because they killed one. Fury... Remember, they did the autopsy on the one because Fury knocked him out or killed him or did whatever.
Right.
And then the other two are the ones in that house. Talos and his scientist or whatever. Yeah, he's the scientist. So there's still a missing Skrull somewhere.
Right.
Whether that was an oversight or maybe it got cut from the final movie theatrical release. Maybe we'll see it in the extended cuts or deleted scenes. Yeah. As of right now, he's missing.
So the good Skrull ingratiates himself to Captain Marvel, Nick Fury, and crew.
Basically tells them that the Kree are actually the enemies.
Right.
That they're trying to control Carol.
And that her old mentor was helping them.
Yeah,
trying to get them away from the Kree.
Right, exactly. And they have a light speed engine or something like that would help them get to a new planet. Because the Kree destroyed their home planet.
Right.
Hence why Ronan's so pissed. It's because they destroyed their planet. Mm-hmm. Kree destroyed their planet. So
Carol kind of begins being friends with her long-lost friend again.
Yes.
And is being reminded of all of this stuff that she did, but she doesn't remember any of it, so she feels really bad. But there's a strong connection between her and her friend's daughter in this movie, which I thought was a really nice touch of this movie, like a little bit of light stuff in with all this bad shit happening around them. Being chased by aliens and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, where do we go after that?
From there, now here comes the action part.
Yeah, because now Jude Law has tracked her down
on Earth.
Mm-hmm. and he's coming after her, and he's getting ready to realize that she switched teams.
Right. Which, in the same instance, the scene right before that, all that happened, apparently her suit is, her Captain Marvel suit is, can change colors, make it whatever color she... Customizable, we'll say. And I have to say, the neon one that she had was fucking badass. Yeah. I wish that would have stayed in there for a little bit longer, but she changed colors.
There's a funny moment with her neighbor, too, where Carol is very accusatory of...
Yes!
Accusing of the neighbor that comes to the door.
Yep.
And he's asking about the plane that's outside. Like, let me check out this plane.
It's like a spaceship. Can I check it out? I've never seen anything like this. My kid loves planes. Can I have it? No, get the hell out of here.
She calls it a bird.
Right.
Or he calls it a bird, and she's very confused.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene with them.
So they leave to go to the...
They retrofit the spaceship so that they can go up to the Skrull ship that's incognito, floating above Earth. Because the original Captain Marvel was trying to get them out of there. Mm-hmm. She built an engine for that ship so that ship could travel to another planet. And
that actress is Annette Bening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We actually never mentioned who plays Carol.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, right.
Which, you brought... Debbie brought this up, and I didn't see it in this movie, and I didn't realize she's in a bunch of other movies, so I'd have to go back and watch, but one of the big complaints is that she was kind of emotionless. Did you feel that way, Chris?
I just felt not very connected to her character for the majority of the movie. Just because, I don't know why I'm supposed to care if she doesn't even know anything about her. I don't know anything about her either.
That's why you need this origin story.
No, it's explaining it to me, but it's just taking a long time to do it.
It's not taking a long time. It was a good amount of time.
I mean, I felt fine when I was watching it, but thinking back on it, I'm like, well, I still don't really like origin movies, though. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. But I kind of roll with movies, though. I don't think about it too much. Like I said, I forgot everything I saw in the trailer when I watched it, a couple months ago or whatever it was.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think the haters had any room to say anything.
Well,
I thought she did amazing.
Yeah, what did you think about Annette Bening in that role? Interesting older female actress that... she's very famous. Again, it's chock full of famous people. She reminds me of a Kathy Bates. She can do pretty much anything and it's good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She's in American Beauty, and that's one of my favorite movies. Unfortunately ruined by what's his name.
Macy.
Also being a creep.
Right.
That's going to be a running theme, I guess, throughout this. Is all these creeps ruining movies.
Absolutely loved the movie she was in with Michael Douglas. It was An American President.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I love that movie so much, but I absolutely love it.
Is that a romantic comedy based around a presidency?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I was a teenager when I loved this movie, and I'm watching a movie about two middle-aged people.
Yeah.
One being the president, one being a lobbyist.
Yeah.
Falling in love. The most random thing to like. But I've always liked Annette Bening. I also really loved her in Mars Attacks. I thought she was hilarious in that movie.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're totally right.
She was the wife of the one character that Jack Nicholson played.
Oh yeah, and there's a million people in that movie too, so it shouldn't surprise me that she's in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're on the ship. Do you remember what the pinball machine was?
No, not off the top of my head, I don't. But there was another arcade machine in there too.
They had a lot of 90s nostalgia up in that ship. So that ship was holding a whole bunch of Skrulls, and basically it was Talos' family that was up there. So Carol goes up there, they tell the whole story, they said, okay, let's do it, and then boom, here comes Jude Law and the Kree wreaking havoc on the situation.
And they're trying to steal the Tesseract.
Yes.
Right.
Which, at that point, we don't know it's a Tesseract, although we do know it's a Tesseract.
It's a blue box that glows.
I think before we get into final sequences and stuff, before this, there's a montage where they play No Doubt, Just a Girl.
Yeah.
I love that song outside of this movie.
Sure.
I did not like it in this movie. I feel like it's way too on the nose.
Oh.
It's
what scene was
Thanks,
it?
Captain
She's
Obvious.
Captain Marvel. She's a girl. let's just use a song that says a girl in it. Like, that's how it feels to me.
What scene was that in? Because I don't remember feeling that way.
It's like a montage moment where, I don't know if maybe it's... I wish I could remember exactly when it is. I don't. Huh. Saw this movie 2 weeks ago. So
sure.
It's, anyway, that was basically the only... music choice that I wasn't really a fan of. The whole thing is like I could take it or leave it. I don't like Courtney Love, but the song is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But the soundtrack overall I loved, I gotta say.
Well, it was a nice girl-powered theme soundtrack for a girl power movie.
But at the same time, I feel like that should feel patronizing to you.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
It's nice.
Okay.
It's nice to know that a lot of women went into the making of a movie.
Yeah, but to be fair though, we also had ScarJo like holding it down almost from day one. You know what I'm saying? So like, I wish they almost would have gave her a movie before this.
They are.
No, before this.
Oh. No.
Yeah. You're getting a whole new woman character when I guess you've had her in alongside all of these awesome male actors forever throughout all these movies. But
outside of her, Scarlett Johansson's origin story, Black Widow's origin story, like, do you really need that now? Because...
No, not on the verge of Avengers
Endgame,
and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
If we weren't in necessarily the same situation where like the Avengers with what's his name, vanishing everybody.
Thanos, yeah.
Thanos. I don't know why I couldn't fucking think of Thanos. Then there's no way you can do another Marvel movie in between.
Right.
They're already,
jamming them in there.
I'm jamming them in there. I want to say that there was a year they did 3 in a year. There's probably maybe even been one where they did 4 in a year.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing Captain Marvel, the new Spider-Man, and then Endgame this year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was another.
Well, there was another Spider-Man that was was not.
Yeah, but that was the animated.
Right. Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
But technically,
technically a Marvel movie.
Far From Home's coming out this year.
Yep.
End of the year. Oh, we probably won't see. No, we won't see that Venom. The second Venom.
So, okay, I guess we left off at Annette Bening, but where do we go beyond?
So an epic fight ensues.
Well, right before that, they come up with a plan to fight the Kree. Mm-hmm. Part of this is a little bait and switch with the Tesseract.
Right.
This is the scene where we understand that a Flerken can create pocket dimensions in its stomach.
And that Goose isn't what he seems.
And it's not what he seems because he eats a whole bunch of people.
Right.
Yes,
he has tentacles that come out from his mouth.
Right.
There's a great Sam Jackson line where he says, "Mother Flerken."
Yeah. I forgot about that.
And that was like the best thing. And I believe that's when he gets scratched on the eye.
No.
Oh, it's not. This is another part.
Yeah, that's at the very end. This is when he also, like, come on, do your thing, hold them up, and the cat's like, nah, it ain't happening.
And then they just take them prisoner for a little bit.
Right.
Well, but then we realized that the cat didn't do anything because he knew it was the Skrull under there that he was impersonating somebody. So Sam Jackson didn't know that, but Kitty Cat knew that. So he's not going to eat one of the good guys.
So Venom likes beer.
Venom.
He likes Bush.
You're not old enough.
Yeah, so I guess we're in this kind of final battle sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you got.
Do we have any sort of overall comments on that?
This is where she.
This is where she learns how badass she can be and that she can fly.
Yeah, because she had a little thing on her neck that was. It was told to her that little. I equate it to the same thing that's on Thor and Thor Ragnarok, the little control device there. But it's dampening her powers and not allowing her to be who her true self.
Right, so Jude Law captures her again And she's in that weird dreamlike state with Annette Bening.
Mm-hmm.
And in that weird dreamlike state, she realizes that she can overpower Annette Bening. And in real life, she removes that thing and then breaks free from the restraints.
A legit badass.
Yeah.
I also love...
And she becomes on fire.
Yeah, I love the statement overpowering Annette Bening.
Well, she did.
Power top. Power top.
That could be like a song title or something like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed her escaping from them that way and then basically laying waste to anybody that gets in her path.
And I mean, it's just, she is fucking them up good. Mm-hmm. There's no competition.
She has a nice battle with Jude Law.
Right. And then probably one of the, I don't want to say the underrated comedy points of that is when Ronan shows up, because Ronan was then hired to capture her by the Kree. And
they pull up in the spaceship.
Right. Three or four of them. They launch this like tactical warhead. And here comes Captain Marvel flying up like Superman and blows that thing out of the air. And they, at that point, they're just like, well, fuck this. We're out of here. Hit the reverse button. Beep, beep, beep. And backs the hell out of there and goes.
It's a nice moment of levity in that.
Right.
In that whole crazy battle situation.
Which really, when you... And again, I know Ronan's young and probably doesn't know all of his powers and doesn't have the Power Stone. Was it Power Stone or Reality Stone? I can't remember. That was in Guardians. First Guardians.
That was
purple one. Anyways,
I thought that was the reality.
I think you're right. But anyways, like that, he's backing away from Captain Marvel, but yet he was standing up to Thanos, right to that dude's face, and Thanos put him in his place. But still, that he had the balls to stand up to him.
Did he even know like how powerful Thanos was? I mean, he saw firsthand what she was doing.
Right? No. There's no question. He's the Mad Titan. He's got a reputation.
I just thought, maybe he was being cocky.
A little bit of that, but still that he stood up to him, I thought was, and backed away from Marvel. Mm-hmm. Marvel.
So, where do we end up at the end of this battle? I guess they're on the beach, or some kind of deserty area maybe, or something like that. And he's begging her to, destroy him. Basically, Jude Law's character.
Without her powers, though.
Yeah,
he's like still egging her on.
Yeah. Because when they were training, she would always use her powers to defeat him in training, and at that point, he was trying to get her to use, be more tactical, understand her enemy, and become a fighter, not just rely on her powers. So he brings that up again, and hey, if you want to be a real woman, you fight me without your powers, and she's just like, yeah, nope.
Yeah.
Fucks him up real good.
And shoots him.
I feel like we're missing stuff though.
Like what?
There's plenty of moments that I didn't make notes of, so if you guys are relying on me to connect the dots here,
and then we leave there.
We leave there.
And we go back to, when does Fury get scratched?
That's almost the very end of the movie when he's holding the cat up saying, aren't you a good cat, or something. Yeah. And the cat's... As soon as he picks him up, and this had to have been another cat, because as soon as he picks the Goose up, you can see the cat is distressed, and it's that low meow that's like, you're about to get fucked up if you don't put me down.
Right.
Anybody that owns a cat knows that meow. And then as soon as he starts egging him on, like, oh, you good kitty, that's when the Flurkin's like, right on the face, 3 or 4 slashes across the eye.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's how, he gets his eye patch, because apparently it cut him too good.
Well, like I was saying, cats, their nails, anytime they scratch, they give some, weird itchy infection type thing. So bacteria. In your eye, I'm sure that probably fucked him up.
Right.
Yeah, and his eye patch that he originally has is a weird silvery sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what...
it's like a piece of sheet metal with tape on it. Like he just taped it on there.
I wasn't sure if it was like sheet metal or what it was. It looked very strange to me.
He just went into the downstairs and like, what do we got in here? It looks good. Take a pair of scissors, cut it around there, put some scotch tape across it, and boom, you got an eye patch.
And then is it Coulson that brings him the case of eyes, of spare glass eyes? And
we have some. I think he says we have some important matters to take care of.
Yeah.
Or pressing matters or something. Yeah, then which I
of course he decides to go
right.
glass eye, but
right. And then the cat's in the office still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he still has the kitty cat.
Still has Goose, because they had a really good bond.
Well, and he has the Tesseract.
So
right.
They don't know what to do with that yet.
Yeah. Or how to get that back, I would imagine. I mean, how do you ask a cat to give something back?
You don't.
That? Right.
Right. So, is that about where we close? Where does Carol end up? So she leaves the planet, right? Is that how it ends? Yeah.
She goes back to Kree, assume. No? I don't know. No, does she go off with the Skrulls?
I thought she was making sure that they got back safe or...
Yeah, she was like a personal escort to the Skrulls.
Yeah, because she went and flew off.
And pretty much, again, the last scene where we tie all these movies together is when she gives Fury a two-way pager, basically, that she can, with upgrades, of course, that can communicate to Carol. Only in emergencies.
And she says it like if you're within a couple of galaxies,
right?
I'll be able to pick it up. So
right.
I like that line a lot.
Yeah.
So that's how we tie the movies together.
And is that one of the cut scenes? I think that's
the first cut scene is then Goose is on Fury's desk and he starts barfing up the Tesseract.
That's the first one or the second one? Because I think there's one where they find the pager. That's what it is. And it won't turn on.
The first one is then we see everybody in the Avengers that's still alive after the snap.
Yeah, we're back in our current time.
Right.
Yeah, and
they have no idea what it is. It's going off, but then it finally died.
Yeah, and now it's hooked up to energy source of some kind, so they keep it powering on.
Yeah, and then they're like, I don't know, how long do we keep this thing going? Until something happens, and then boom, they turn around and there she is. There she is.
Mm-hmm. And her hair's longer.
So time has passed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's asking for Fury.
Yeah, she's like, "Where's Fury?"
Who has since been dusted.
I was gonna say, so he was one of the people that got dusted, right? Because he's about to say "mother."
Yeah.
And he goes to dust.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, Marvel's unafraid of making reference to everything
that
he's ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
And
then the second cutscene, Goose puking up the Tesseract.
Which, again, if you're a cat owner, you know that so well. The noises.
As soon as he started
the
weird movement, I was like, oh, he's barfing.
The weird jerky sort of movement.
Yeah, stomach contractions of...
it was the perfect puke. I know it was a CGI cat, but they nailed that puking.
Yes.
So I saw this movie with my dad. We never even mentioned where we went to go see it or anything. Maybe we'll do that at the end. But so I saw it with my dad at Ronnie's, which has been upgraded recently. I don't know if you guys have been there.
That's where we went.
So great theater, but my dad has never been a cat person. We didn't growing up at we never really had cats very, very much. Once my mom and George got together, I guess I was probably 5 or 6 or something like that. From then on, we didn't have cats. So, and he's not necessarily as amused with cat stuff as other people are. So when the cat was puking, he wasn't that amused by that. He was like,
whatever.
That's gross.
Fucking cat.
Fucking cat puking everywhere. That's why I didn't want him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what he's thinking.
Right.
And all those cat owners are like, yeah, that's what they do. They do
that's
that.
What they do. And we clean it up. This is crazy. I like that they picked that as a cutscene. I feel like it fits really well, especially with the overall tone of the movie too. I feel like this movie kind of doesn't take itself too seriously too. If you're talking about
the theme with the
well, check it out. So you got the end of the latest Avengers movie, where Thanos fucking dusts people to half of the population, and they mention it in this movie, but it's very it's all the way at the end. It's in a cutscene. You know what I'm saying? It's detached from the actual movie. So you get something so dark like that you got to follow it up with 1 or 2 or 3 something to take the edge off of that, because that is rough stuff. Spider-Man crying and telling
Stark, I don't feel well.
Well, maybe he wasn't crying. It looked like maybe
he was.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure he was.
I haven't seen it in a while, but
he's crying.
Super, super dark and tugs at your heart. Even the most heartless person seeing a kid dust to death in front of basically what represents his dad.
Father figure, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And sensing it before it happens.
Right, because of his spidey sense.
And not understanding what he's sensing.
Yeah.
It's like when people actually die.
Right.
So that's why people connect to it.
Right.
We're combining real life with fantasy here, folks. No, great movie though. I thought overall I would probably, like we said, rank it somewhere in the middle. There's certainly Marvel movies and action movies and fantasy movies that are way worse. So we'll not get into that.
I mark it higher than... I give it above normal grade. I liked it more than you guys, apparently.
I mean, I enjoyed it when I was watching it, but you can't help but compare to the other Marvels.
Like right now, I totally want to go see it again.
I mean, I give it like a solid 7 out of 10 90s chick bands.
I'll give it 8 out of 10 90s chick bands.
Okay.
And here's why. Sam Jackson. I feel like
yeah, he was great.
I feel like he was better in this than any of his other Marvel roles because I like that lighthearted style of Sam Jackson more.
Yet.
Real quick, give your rating, and then I got to say one more thing too.
I give it an 8.
8?
So technically, you could even give it higher than that though because you like it more than me, and I gave it 8.
I give
chick
it an
8.5. 8.5 chick band. So. Chick band that's broken up and 2 of the members aren't in the band anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Something that we didn't talk about that is actually that I just now thought about too is this movie that you say Sam Jackson was like one of the better parts of this movie, and you're absolutely right because neither Captain Marvel or Nick Fury were the main character. They were both equally sharing the parts, which gave them an opportunity to not only give the origin story for Captain Marvel, but a fair, good backstory for Fury.
And Coulson.
And, a little bit of Coulson.
See, because Coulson was new, he didn't have to have any type of alliance to Fury, but he saved Fury's ass.
Right, which we didn't talk about.
Yeah, we didn't mention that, but
Coulson... there's plenty of things we didn't mention.
Right.
Yeah,
let's
but
be fair.
At one point, Coulson, when they're trying to find them, knows where they're at and acts like they weren't there.
Right.
And that was...
Because he had a feeling.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Followed his rookie gut.
Nick, tell me in the books how much Nick Fury background is there really?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know 100%.
Okay.
I think he's more one of those characters that have just been around.
Yeah.
And never really needed a backstory.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is somewhere, but to my reading knowledge of
and listen,
books,
Marvel goes back quite a ways.
Yeah.
That character is decades old at this point.
Right.
So
I just like how he slowly morphed into in the comics Samuel L. Jackson.
Which here's a little cool side note is that Marvel and Sam Jackson, they came to an agreement so that the current Nick Fury in the comic books it basically is Sam Jackson. They used his likeness.
Mm-hmm. And they
because before he was a white dude, eye patch, silver streak in his hair, kind of more of a buff cut dude. And now he's trench coat, eye patch, bald head, Sam Jackson in the comic books.
Yeah, so...
That's what I'm saying. I like how they morphed it into it's just him.
Look, with Marvel Comics, they're trying to sell comic books. So, if on the cover... the character looks more like the movie character, it's going to sell more.
Right.
That's just but of course the hardened comic fan that has been around forever before the movies took off like they have would probably buy it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
at least this way you don't have the people going, well, that's not like the comic book. Well, yeah.
Exactly.
And we're joined by the version of Goose that lives in this house.
The tailless goose.
The tailless goose.
Please don't sneeze.
Is that why Goose crashed in Top Gun? He lost the tail of his car?
Right.
Or his car. His airplane. What the hell am I talking about? It's a car with wings.
Right.
Come on, guys.
All right.
And jet engines.
But overall, great movie, like you said. Definitely go see it if you haven't. It really does tie everything together. If you're a fan of any of the other Marvel movies, number one, you're going to have to see it, so it all kind of links together. And number two, you'll enjoy it. There's no question about it.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't really know how Tim closes the show.
So...
Should we just, I guess, plug stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Do you have anything coming up?
I do have things coming up.
Ooh,
what do you have coming up?
my podcast, The Ritual Disc Flip, is entering its third month, and we are going to be reviewing an album very soon on the show. I like to kind of tease what it is on the socials, so just look up the show at Ritual Disc Flip on all your social medias. And we review albums old and new. We talk about live shows that we go to. I guess I should give an example of something we do. The latest album we covered is Pantera's Great Southern Trendkill.
Oh, great album.
And so we really dug in on it, and we ended up having like a 2.5 hour conversation.
Nice.
And that's more than double the length of the actual album. So, apparently, there was some meat on that bone. But that's the one that's getting the most numbers right now. I feel like people are really enjoying that one. So, again, at Ritual Disc Flip on all the social medias. And Debbie and I do the Castle Rock Watchers on the Couch podcast, so you can listen to that.
Look out for Watchers on the Couch American Gods coming up soon, and Game of Thrones.
Well, I don't know if they're doing American Gods.
Are we not doing American Gods?
Well, that's a topic of discussion that I think Tim would probably be best suited to address.
Okay,
but
so
it's sort of
look out for.
Possibly look out for American Gods Watchers on the Couch. Certainly more Castle Rock whenever that show comes back, and more movies coming up soon. Pet Sematary is getting ready to come out.
We gotta do the Pet
That's
Sematary
gonna be a big one.
Because we gotta watch the original,
and then go see,
and then see the new one.
I'm down for that plan. For sure.
I wanna compare.
Yes,
I'm sure we could have.
So is that going to
3 hour podcast? On
that might be a joint podcast, like Watchers Castle Rock and Watchers at the movies. So that's the only movie coming out that I can think of. We don't need to mention any others. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.